We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators.
This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators. A rare, self-aware wolf. And that right there is Trump's pick for the FBI. Not the Fascist Bureau of Investigations, which is where he belongs, but the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Since Hoover, since Nixon, the head of the FBI is supposed to run out its term. You know, remember this guy, Christopher Wray? It's not supposed to be politically motivated. Sure, you leave the norms up to the Republican Party. How'd that work with the Supreme Court? You leave it up to them and you get this. Trump has to replace Christopher Wray. He has to replace him because he was chosen. This guy right here, he was chosen by a deep state monster, right? And that deep state monster that chose him is right there. Spider-Man pointing gif. And honestly, you don't get much more swampy than this by the very definition of the term, right? Locking up reporters. The head of the FBI is saying he's going to lock up reporters. He's going to lock up politicians. And I mean, if this doesn't wake you up from your slumber, that everything's going to be okay, it's only 4 years, we'll be fine. If that doesn't wake you up, you might as well pay the rest and get that full lobotomy done. And you know, 2 more things on Mansonize here. The next head of the FBI has a Trump Punisher logo on his shirt. You see it down there? I mean, come on. Come on. He has to read the script. You see him at the end? His eyes keep going over. His Manson eyes, they keep looking over at the script. All I'm saying is if you're bringing us into a police state, if you're threatening that, if you're ushering in a kleptocracy where the FBI's only job is to protect the oligarchs and their interests, right? Where you're going to help instill an autocrat. At least Kash Patel, at least be off script.
Trump is the new Adolf.
Welcome to the Chud Report. I'm your host, MJ. Thanks for being here. I changed the logo, so you're at the right channel if you're a subscriber. If you've never been here before, you think you might like this content, give us a thumbs up. We want to be in your algorithm. If you hate this video, if you can't wait till they start rounding up reporters, political rivals of a party, hit that downvote. I don't think we want to be in your algorithm. I don't think we want to be in your country. This little leprechaun right here, this is Roy Cohn, and he taught Trump how to get away with being a criminal. His main lessons were, and you might recognize some of them, his main lessons were never admit wrongdoing, no matter what. Counterattack fiercely, right? And the one we're going to focus on this episode, the one Trump took to heart, the one we're in the middle of right now, which I'm going to explain, is to distract and divert attention, right? Cohn taught the use of distraction to shift focus from unfavorable situations. This can be traced all the way back to the 1970s housing discrimination investigation when Trump refused to sell houses to black people.
Look at my African American over here.
That's my African American over there. Now evict him. Cohn advised Trump to accuse the Department of Justice of using Gestapo tactics, thereby diverting attention from the allegations. I mean, right? Sounds a little familiar? This is a political witch hunt? This is political interference? This little leprechaun right here, that's what lives inside this bag of shit right here. Distract. Like Matt Gaetz split his time between being Attorney General of the United States of America and like an 8th girl gym coach or whatever. You know that's his next job. $2 billion from the people that attacked us on 9/11, Kushner. It's actually his official middle name. Probably could have helped us out if we knew his middle name first. How fortuitous. Jared's criminal father, this guy right here who was pardoned by Trump in 2020, is going to be the ambassador to France. Distraction. Ambassador to France. How far we have fallen from the great Benjamin Franklin. Maybe not. Maybe not. At least Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity, right? On the side of his full-time job of being a French whore. Jared 9/11 people made me a billionaire Kushner. His father, Charles Kushner, this guy right here, he went to jail for crimes involving illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, and witness tampering. So basically, he went to jail for being a modern-day Republican. Clear the swamp, yelled the chud from the back of the Trump rally. Clear the swamp. And you ladies, listen up. You women for Trump, listen up to this one. Pete Hegseth. Pervert Pete's mom wrote the longest email ever, pleading him to stop abusing women. And here is just an excerpt. You should read the whole email. It's pretty disturbing that they want the Secretary of Defense, right, to be this guy. This is from his mom's email. I have tried to keep quiet about your character behavior, but after listening to the way you made Samantha feel today, I cannot stay silent. And as a woman, and as your mother, I feel I must speak out. You are an abuser of women. This is Pete Hegseth's mom. You are an abuser of women. That is the ugly truth, and I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is sad, sad truth. On behalf of all women, this is how she wrapped up the email. I read you the first, now this is the end. You can go read the middle if you need more of this. On behalf of all women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way. It sounds like the women he dates or goes out with need a Secretary of Defense just against him. I say, get some help and take an honest look at yourself. I mean, this is his own mother. This is the party of values. I can't even imagine what it's like to have your mom call you an abuser that she's ashamed of, It's crazy. The only note I ever got from my mom was like back in 1999. I stole one of these. You remember these? Michelob Ultras. You are an abuser of my carb-free beer. I've tried to keep quiet about your character and behavior. But after drinking a Budweiser, my summer swimsuit season has been ruined. I cannot stay silent. That's the note I got from my mom. And the trick with this beer, well, it worked, right? Michelob Ultra. It did give you a beer gut, because after you drink one of these things, you never wanted another one ever again. This was like 20 years later. I still don't want a Michelob Ultra. But you see what I'm doing? I'm distracting you with shitty beer. And it's easy to distract. Most of this country is too far away. They're too far away from World War II. They're just too far away to understand what is happening. So they could care less about the end of it. They think it'll just keep going on. Like America has always been here and will always be here. And the ones that are paying attention, the ones that care, the ones that are still here, they need to be distracted with shiny objects. These shiny objects are these clowns right here, right? And for some reason, these clowns need to be rapey. Like all of them are super rapey. And everybody knows the worst kind of clown is the rapey clown. And maybe the only thing worse than the rapey clowns are when, the mimes are their victims. Because they stay silent. Look over here at the shiny object. Don't look at Tulsi being in charge of relaying Kremlin ambitions to our intel team. Don't look at that. That our intelligence agency is now a one-way street from the Kremlin. Look at the shiny object. Look at the clown. Don't look at Brendan Carr. He has a bot post this to his Twitter. It's called X. He has a bot post this to his Twitter every single day. Good morning and God bless America. And how appropriate is it, for a fascist to use automation in an attempt at patriotism that's just a disguise for propaganda? Trump has nominated Carr Kash here to be head of the FCC. And on day one, He's promised to weaponize it.
Another question in terms of ensuring that everyone gets treated fairly. In the past, you've said, look, if your name is Musk or if your name is somebody who the administration doesn't like, you're going to get different treatment. And that's been the case for the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, that type of lawfare is going to end for too long in this government, particularly over the last couple of years. Your last name dictated how the government treated you. If your last name was Soros, well, the commission bent over backwards and gave you a special, unprecedented commission-level shortcut to buy 200 radio stations. If your last name was Musk, well, then you lost $800 million contracts that you lawfully got. Everybody now is going to get a fair shake going forward.
Will Soros still be able to acquire those 200 radio stations?
There's a petition for reconsideration pending at the FCC right now, and I want to take a very hard look at that.
Okay.
I bet you do. Elon Musk, who's taken over $16 billion, that's B with a billion, in government contracts from us. That's our taxpayer money. This guy right here, Carr Kash, says he's been treated unfairly. Could the government please treat me unfairly? I want that same treatment. And also this Carr Kash right here, a complete lack of self-awareness, right? When he evokes the boogeyman for the past 30 years, George Soros. Ooh, we don't give contracts on last names, he says. We don't give contracts on last names. And then he goes on to say, unless that name is Musk. And yes, I will be repealing George Soros' contract. So we don't do it on names, though. You know what I mean? Who watches this and doesn't pick up on anything that they say? It's all vibes. Evil George Soros has $10 billion. Right? While poor Elon Musk, who literally won't leave Trump's side, has rode on a taxpayer-funded rocket again to over $300 billion now. Elon Musk made $100 billion in a month. And it was directly related to his proximity to power. That Chud in the back yelling, clear the swamp, clear the swamp. What exactly do you think this is? What do you think the swamp is?
If your last name was Musk, well, then you lost.
If your last name was Musk, Elon Musk is everything. Everything and more the right has said George Soros was. Elon Musk was giving $1 million a day away for people to vote for Trump. You know what I mean? Where's the boogeyman? But they don't care. The right don't care because they're an ant. They're a maggot, a parrot who just, repeats the propaganda because it makes them feel like they're on a team. It makes them feel like they're doing something, like they're enacting some kind of change, right? Because they feel powerless. Back to Carr Kash. Do you guys remember how cute it was when you were all worried about net neutrality 10 years ago? Huh? Chuds, you remember that? When you're all worried about it? Well, what Carr Kash is going to do is about 10 steps past that. Once a powerful cultural force, the FCC's authority has waned since the rise of cable TV, the internet, and streaming platforms. Basically, the FCC could control the airwaves because, theoretically or literally, the airwaves were owned by all of us. So they had to adhere to certain, rules and regulations, especially when it became political. However, with most media moving online, its focus shifted to broadband deployment, including controversial net neutrality rules. This guy, is this ringing any bells to any of you? Of the stuff we were so worried about 10 years ago, the stuff we should still be worried about today? Back to Nixon. The lesson the country was supposed to take, the lesson the Republican Party was supposed to take from his resignation was that the presidency should be better than a criminal enterprise. But the lesson the Republicans took was the criminal enterprise should be better than the presidency. The MAGA movement was not born with any golden escalator, all right? It wasn't born in this moment. The MAGA movement was born when this helicopter took off. Roger Ailes was Nixon's media consultant, a cute way of saying the head of the Ministry of Truth. And while we're talking about that, and while we're on that, let me just make a note. Isn't it strange that the big brain conspiracy theorists on the right, the QAnons, follow those breadcrumbs out there? Trump literally named his social media app after 1984's propaganda arm, right? The Ministry of Truth. And what am I even talking about? There's zero chance. There's negative 50%. There's negative 100% chance that any MAGA chud out there's ever read 1984. It's just something they scream out when someone doesn't let them bring their guns into Starbucks, right? This is like 1984. Clear the swamp. You'll never guess what Roger Ailes' next job was. Right? Roger Ailes was the media consultant for Ronald Reagan. Of course he was. And he's the sole reason the fairness doctrine no longer exists. The fairness doctrine basically said if you give airtime to one side, you have to give airtime to another side. That poses a problem when most of this country is morons, because they'll only really believe the last thing they've heard. So if you could lock them into a silo where you never have to give them any kind of sunlight, no opposing views ever, right? That was the plan. If you could do that, Richard Nixon would not have to resign. Ever. And you'll never guess what Roger Ailes' next job was for W's daddy over here. Anybody? Anybody want to take a guess? Media strategist and consultant, right? Yeah, Trump won't salute dead soldiers. He won't go outside if there's any moisture in the air. It will smear his makeup and ruin his hair. But the people he will salute, North Korean generals and Roger Ailes' casket. That casket smells like Megyn Kelly in more ways than one. The reason your grandparents, maybe your parents, think anything to the left of Sean Hannity's right testicle is communism is because of this guy, right? It's because of Roger Ailes and 28 years of Fox News. 28 years of Fox News, putting them in a silo so their brain cannot get any oxygen and it can sit there and rot. I'm not worried about Ronald McDonald here. I'm not even sure he's going to make it a full term. I'll take odds of him making a full term. I'll give you 2-to-1 odds. I don't think he's going to make it. Benjamin Franklin did invent electricity. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. Donald Trump didn't invent MAGA. Yeah, he did. Benjamin Franklin named electricity. Donald Trump named MAGA. And MAGA knows who's important to get in there. It's not Gates. It's not Hogseth. It's the FCC. It's the FBI. It's the CIA. Carr Kash contributed to Project 2025. Big surprise. I know you're all shocked out there. How could that be? Trump said he didn't know anyone for Project 2025. Didn't know what they were up to. Now he's making the head of the FCC one of the people that wrote the chapter on the FCC. Carr's chapter proposes expanding the FCC's power rather than dismantling it, as suggested by the other agencies. This is the party. This is the party who had a whole movement, small government, a whole Tea Party movement. Where have they gone? Carr Kash is going to argue that, like the airwaves, the FCC now has control over broadband. Yeah, party of small government, right? The freedom-loving party. If you don't know at this point in time, the Freedom Party, the freedom-loving party, we're patriots. They only want freedom for their own voices. Charlie Kirk, Benny, whatever. Carr's rhetoric includes threats to revoke broadcast licenses over perceived bias. Not Fox News, not Newsmax. No. Exploiting the network's vulnerabilities for political gain, right? Carr plans to keep threatening to modify Section 230. I don't know how he could. It's a law passed with a Republican majority. But he'll keep threatening to use it. And, if you don't know what Section 230 is, it's what makes channels like this, YouTube, social media in general, exist. The gist of Section 230 is that people can't sue the social media companies if someone says something on these channels, right? So if I say something about Andrew Breitbart being a cokehead, you know what I mean? They would go sue YouTube. So Section 230 makes them so they're not able to do that. By the way, Andrew Breitbart was an upstanding citizen who never did. We'll just leave it at that. But what Carr's planning to do is threaten this law enough, right? To threaten to repeal 230 or whatever. So that YouTube's trust and safety team will moderate YouTube the way they want. I mean, YouTube's algorithm is already just to feed the chuds, right? It's just a churn to the chuds. But they will be even more inclined to go after channels like this that speak out against these people. Matt Gaetz, Hogseth, Jared Kushner's daddy. They're clowns. But these people right here, Carr, Kash, Cash for cars, these are the pillars of the future autocracy that's coming to the United States. Spoiler alert. Gaetz, Hogseth, they're distractions to a larger game, right? The larger game is state-run media, the FCC. Spying on political organizations, that'll be Tulsi's role. Breaking the Constitution, arresting reporters. What's the fourth estate anyway? I don't know. There's only 3 estates. What's the 4th estate? And politicians, right? Kash Patel has promised to lock up politicians and reporters that go against an autocracy. And this is why I say that Trump's not even important anymore. This was the hump to get people over, right? They saw a guy, a reality TV star, firing people for 15 years. That guy's cool. That guy's a billionaire. He fires people. That guy's awesome. They saw him for 15 years and he got them over the hump into, this fascism that we're in. And that's why I say Trump is like, this special in the head guy. I've already said I can't really use the R term anymore because it's not 1996, but he's special in his head. But you remember this guy in Game of Thrones? Another spoiler alert if you haven't watched this. Been off the air for like 10 years. This guy used to just say Hodor, Hodor, Hodor over and over again. Donald Trump has been saying, make America great again, over and over, without actually doing it, ever. He passed one law. He passed one thing last term when he had the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court. One thing, and that was tax breaks for billionaires. And that's your tax rate right now. You're still under the Trump plan. Remember you guys were like, my taxes won't go up. And then, lo and behold, 2 years later, they shot right up. But you gotta fall for it again, because you're morons. Donald Trump says, make America great again. Make America great again. We're going to make America great again. But his only purpose, like this guy right here, is to hold the door. Hold the door for the fascist takeover of this country. The Chud Report. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the members who support this channel directly. Hey, anybody who bought these stickers, it looked like some people bought these stickers. Tell me if they're any good. I use YouTube's whatever. YouTube has a company that you sign up with. And then, I don't know, they make the stickers for you. But I don't want to be selling you guys crap. So in the comments, if anybody bought one of these stickers, because I'm going to be putting them everywhere. Everywhere. Gas pumps, eggs, meat, anything. I'm going to be sticking them on there. So if you bought them, tell me if they're quality. If they're not, I'll find some other way to make them. But thank you for being here. That's all I got. I'll see you next time. The Chud Report.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators.